Did WWE fail Lacey Evans, or was she simply just another victim of the churning machine that is the pro wrestling billion-dollar Goliath? Lacey Evans revealed on Twitter recently that she's going to be known as Macy Estrella going forward, hinting that she is indeed done with WWE as it's been widely reported. After 7 years with the #1 company in the entire genre, she is officially gone, starting off as a promising prospect who many thought would have a big future, and then kind of just getting lost in the ranks. So what went wrong? When did Lacey Evans go from being a future world champion to being someone that simply didn't get what they deserved? Lacey Evans is a veteran of the U.S. Marine Corps and served in the U.S. Armed Forces for a significant period of time before becoming a pro wrestler. It took her only 2 years in the pro wrestling ranks to get signed by WWE in 2016, and the women of WWE at the time were popping off and getting a larger, more legitimate spotlight, so what a better time to make a splash. It didn't take long for her to make a significant impact in the proving ground of NXT. While she started as an enhancement talent, she worked her way up through the appearances in the Mae Young Classic Tournament and had a featured heel turn on the NXT TV series, feuding with top stars like Kairi Sane. She wasn't the centerpiece of the division by any means, but Triple H and others in WWE NXT were carefully building up a winning streak through the second half of 2018 for her. And because of her standout look that gave her a diligent work ethic to be something different, she seemed to be exactly the type of woman WWE would want to push. Evans brought a presentation of an over-the-top, entitled by her beauty diva type, and that's probably why she got called up to the main roster of Raw and SmackDown a little over a year after her NXT debut. It turned out that Vince McMahon and others in WWE were big reported proponents of her within the WWE system. Getting a reaction and having the boss listen at the right time really matters. And if it didn't get any better, she entered the second Women's Royal Rumble at #1 and lasted nearly 30 minutes in the showcase before being eliminated by future rival Charlotte Flair. Her first real feud in the main roster of WWE was after WrestleMania 35 when she challenged the newly crowned double champion Becky Lynch. That same year, after getting drafted over to SmackDown, she became the first woman in the history of Saudi Arabia, along with Natalya, when the two faced off in the first women's-only pro wrestling match, breaking character a little bit after the match because of the emotional history that was being made. This was just another sign of how much WWE trusted Evans in critical positions. She even turned babyface soon after when she challenged the then SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley, but she failed to beat her in a singles match at the Royal Rumble and then got pinned in a fatal 5-way match in an empty performance center as we entered the pandemic times at WrestleMania 36. The Southern Belle continued to be put in pivotal roles, coming close to winning the corporate Money in the Bank ladder match before Asuka pulled her down and won, but it was her heel turn back to her villainous ways in July of 2020 that began to trend an inconsistent back and forth handling with her character. Granted, she was much better as a villain anyway, and rather than establishing her as a force to be reckoned with on SmackDown, they moved her back over to Raw, beginning what became an unfortunate flip-flopping of the trend with her. But WWE was still serious about pushing this bigger-than-life character as a possible future women's champion. She began a weird storyline romance with Nature Boy Ric Flair, which was supposed to culminate in a WrestleMania title match against Charlotte Flair. Yeah, his daughter. In fact, she was reportedly booked to face then Raw Women's Champion Asuka at the Elimination Chamber, and everything indicated towards her potentially winning her first title in WWE. But her sudden pregnancy kind of just put all those plans on hold and basically canceled them at the same time. The plan, thankfully, never went the god-awful storyline of her having some weird tryst with Ric Flair and it aggravating Charlotte. Yeah, it just still feels weird to talk about. When she returned to WWE over a year later after giving birth, WWE seemed to hint at her returning as a possible, now mother-empowered babyface, playing off the previously mentioned inspirational Marine's background that she had, her very real-life background, inspiring her character on screen. Yeah, that seems like an organic thing to jump on. She was regularly advertised as a SmackDown return that just kind of didn't come for a while. And then there was the most random flip-flop of her character ever. After being hyped for a return on SmackDown as a hero, a triumphant hero, she ended up returning to Raw instead as a military villain that we're not supposed to like. What? The vignettes became memes on wrestling Twitter. Oh, wrestling Twitter loves to jump on something and turn it into something. And they did for reasons that are just meant to troll her because, trolling somebody is just something the internet likes to do. In reality, it wasn't her fault because WWE changed their plans again and she got affected by it, moving her to SmackDown where she turned into a babyface again before the Money in the Bank qualifier. All right, after being unsuccessful at Money in the Bank, she once again became a villain. What? So it's not hard to see why some fans can keep booing Lacey Evans, really care about where the storyline is going. You have an over-the-top, easy to hit out of the park character who's truly larger than life. I can tell you this. I interviewed Lacey Evans in person in 2019, and she was undoubtedly one of those people you meet that you think, wow, they're gonna be a star. And then you don't treat them like a star. It's just weird. Plus, you factor in the whole shuffling of WWE at the top level, with Vince McMahon stepping out at one point in 2022 and Triple H taking over the complete creative reins of the company. While the Triple H era of WWE has been praised for the most part and brought a lot of fans back to watching Raw and SmackDown, Lacey Evans may be one of those people, in retrospect, that could have been lost in the proverbial shuffle. The last attempt to bring Evans back to prominence saw a reinvigorated presentation of her military background yet again, this time using Sergeant Slaughter, yes, WWE Hall of Famer Sergeant Slaughter's signature Cobra Clutch as her finisher. Her last major appearance was the 2023 Royal Rumble, and she lasted 14 minutes and got 2 eliminations. It became clear that she was one of the stars who WWE just didn't have a set plan for creatively in storylines, and by August 2023, she seemed to be done for good. It's an unfortunate story of a superstar being highly favored, highly anticipated by the higher-ups, and even some fans who love to boo her, but nothing that they love to watch week to week in terms of a story. It became harder for her to stand out as a standout in a women's roster filled with big names that you already know. But in WWE, it was still, where are we going with the storyline? If there's not a story, you just have a character. Sometimes they just get lost. And if anyone's going to try and blame Evans for this and say, oh, she didn't develop or this or that, or, you know what? Also, she's a woman and wanted to take a break and have a child. There's nothing wrong with that. She may not have ever been the most popular woman in the WWE roster, but when she was given the ball, she ran with it. Even when she returned from pregnancy, the flip-flopping of her character basically didn't keep her career going, and that's not her call. She's simply playing the plays that are given to her. Addressing the Lacey Evans situation, Dave Meltzer revealed on the Wrestling Observer newsletter radio show that Vince McMahon was being one of the reasons that her push was simply disappearing. She got the real big push at first, then she would get the weekly vignettes, and not a push at all. It was the craziest thing ever. But a lot of her lack of exposure had to do with Vince being gone because Vince was her proponent. Evans is 33 years old and could have a lot of options in pro wrestling and entertainment in the future, which she could do very, very well as a free agent right now. But for now, she's focused on another meaningful battle to help people fight alcoholism and other mental health problems. Speaking about her WWE departure, she had this to say, I thought I could be more of an assistance fighting a different fight than in the WWE ring. I want to focus on helping my community to fight addiction and fight on the mental health side to normalize mental health issues. Will the WWE departure be a blessing for Macy Estrella, formerly known as Lacey Evans? Let us know what you think and what you would like to see her do in WWE. What were your favorite moments that she had in WWE? Get it in the comments below.